Mark, how much of a relief is it to you and the club to return to winning ways on the back of a very strong second half performance this afternoon?
Yes, it is a relief. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. We've struggled to buy a win over the last 5 weeks and got to make it difficult for ourselves again today, but after a pretty stern and direct chat at half time, I'm pleased with what the players dished up in the last 35 minutes of that game.
In that first half it was very nip and tuck, a very hard fought, close encounter. Did that require action from you in the dressing room?
Yeah, it did. I thought, Workington come and did exactly what we knew they would do. And we just didn't look after the ball. We were disrespectful of the ball. We completed at 40% in that first half, which you don't win any rugby league games on that. There's an element of people trying offloads and trying that little bit too hard still. And we spoke all week about stick to the process, and the big end goal will come if you do the process well. More often than not. And at 40% completion, I don't think any rugby league team wins a game like that.
Do you put that sort of trying to overplay it and force the pass with the current role at that particular moment with those 5 defeats? Too much, a bit of pressure on players?
Yeah, I try my best to take it off the players and shoulder it myself. But they're not stupid. They're not idiots. They know what's going on. They know what's being said, and they know it's not been good enough, and they care. So sometimes they're trying a little bit too hard just to rectify things personally rather than just sticking to the process and going through with the procedure. When
you look at the game as a whole, Mark, people will look at the inconsistencies, obviously the first half against the second half. Is it your job to say, well look, we've done it in the second half, that now has to be, the barometer for the final few games of the year? Yeah,
I've just said to the players there, the carbon copy and the absolute opposites of the first half and the second half. We completed up and around 85% in the second half and blown the team away. So we've got it within us. We've just got to get rid of the playing with a little bit of fear. We've got to get rid of the anticipation about what's going to happen, and we've just got to let the process unfold. We've got to play with a little bit of composure and a little bit of patience, and then express ourselves, because when we express ourselves, we're a good rugby league team. And I openly encourage the boys to express themselves, but on the back of good field position and good completions.
And you certainly saw that in the second half, Mark, when the game and the result was obviously going to be a Bradford win. The players looked a lot more composed, a lot more resilient, as you say, a lot more happy with themselves.
Yeah, and it's a good foundation to build on, but we've been desperate to get the win. We've been desperate to break the rut that we've been in. I'm by no means going to paper over the cracks and say that's perfect and everything's rosy again. We've seen in the first half we've still got things to work on, but a real positive last 35 minutes for me.
Obviously there's a perceived sort of half-back potential crisis, obviously what happens this coming Tuesday, obviously a precursor to potentially what happens at the tribunal on Tuesday. Miles Lawford given his debut and looked very comfortable out there, and a very exemplary performance.
I thought the word I used was mature. I thought it was really mature for such a young bloke. And there was elements where it could be a little bit better, but yeah, on the whole I'm delighted for it. And as you rightly said, there might be more opportunities coming in the coming weeks.
In terms of where Miles is, you wouldn't have any hesitation, Mark, throwing him in against York a week on Monday if Dec Patton gets a lengthy map?
No. I'm a firm believer if you're good enough, you're old enough, and I think he's shown out there today and what he's capable of, and there's more in Miles' locker as well. Anybody who's watched Miles play over a number of games knows that that's not his best by far, but he'll only get better when he's in and around these people, and it'll be better for the experience as well. So yeah, absolutely no worries about putting Miles in if needed and if earned.
Just on Dec Patton and Tuesday, Mark, just quickly, are you going to appeal, challenge, or are you just going to accept what's handed down?
I'm personally not going to appeal and challenge anything. That's up to Dec Patton. I'm not going to condone the actions. Dec's going to have to explain to the tribunal, what his intentions were, and then we'll let that take care of itself.
And in terms of the remainder of the season, what's the latest with Jordan Lilly, bearing in mind obviously he's currently out with, I believe, you said it wasn't going to be short term, it might be a little bit longer.
Yeah, we will see John in the league this year. You know, so we're doing it tough. You know, we've actually no senior half-backs should get suspended at the club. But it's what we've got, it's what the cards we've been dealt, and we'll work hard with what we've got.
And on the back of that, Mark, obviously, Miles Lawford coming through today, that was positive. Obviously, you've got other options. I think, like you say, you've had Elliot Kieran there, Lewis Camden, he could be another option.
It could, yeah. There's a couple of options, there's a couple of things in the fire, you know. There's a potential of some Joe Reg out from Leeds, and you know, should that come along, we'll have a look at that. But yeah, we've got what we've got, and you know, it is what it is, and we'll work hard with them. And if they get an opportunity, they'll be better for the experience, and hopefully they can contribute to us as a group as well. Because you know, I thought particularly that right edge there that Miles was on today was a threat at times.
Workington obviously being relegated, Mark. Quite a sad time for Workington and Chris Foreman, but oh boy, did they come here and certainly, you know, play not to lose. They really made it difficult.
Yeah, for anybody that knows rugby league, you don't ever come across a Cumbrian team that's not honest. You know, and they're an honest set of blokes, and they're doing it tough. They're doing it really tough at the moment. So, you know, I've had a good chat with Chris today and wished him and Workington Town all the very best, because we as a club know what it's like to be in the predicament they're in at the moment in time. So, you know, they'll regroup, they'll lick their wounds, and they'll come back next year and have a real good go at League One. And as I say, on behalf of everybody at this club, we wish them all the very, very best.
How important was George Flanagan's contribution? Because in the past couple of weeks, you know, you've mentioned perhaps a lack of leadership out there on the field. You know, George comes on and that game just changes almost instantly.
I just thought it brought so much energy. You know, as I say, I wouldn't like to be his wife Tony and have to live with him, because if he's like that at home, God knows what they go through. But listen, he's a champion bloke. You know, he's a champion bloke who cares passionately about this club, and he'll do anything he can to help and aid this club. And you know, I think his contribution today was pretty telling in itself.
Talking about Miles, obviously, you know, he's coming into a tough situation for a young lad, but he's potentially got this opportunity now of a run in the team, potentially with what the situation is. But he's going to learn so much in that, you know, being thrown in the deep end of what.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, and what a journey to go on. You know, he's a young bloke. I think he could have said to Miles Lawford at the beginning of this season that he made his first team debut this year. He probably looked at it as gone daft a bit. You know, he's still playing in the academy, and he's earned the right to play reserves football, and then through his appearances and his performances within the reserves, he's earned the right now to play first team football and be classed as a first team squad member as well. So, you know, him along with George Flanagan Jr. and you know, and others as well that are really, really close and chomping at the bit. You know, it just shows what our youth system's about at this club, and it makes me very, very proud.
Well, I was going to say it's a great advert for the academy once again, and it's an opportunity for them to sort of show that it does work. You can come through the system and establish yourself in the first team squad.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, and if I could have 17 Bradford bred homegrown players on that field, I'd pick them every week. So, you know, I'm a big believer in we need to keep our talent. We need to try and, you know, make that foundation of this club going forward, and yeah, we'll do everything we can to do that. But you know, they care passionately, and that's a great base to work for.
And you could see the confidence just soaring back second half, couldn't you? As you say, first half a lot of drop passes and some casual moments, and second, once they got on that roll, started scoring, you know, the pace just quickened up, the movement. It was almost like watching a different team at times, wasn't it?
Yeah. I wish I could find a way to bottle confidence, because I'd be a rich man, I think. You know, it's when you're down and you're being kicked and there's challenges being thrown at you from every different angle, it's tough. You know, I'm really proud of the group that have stuck together over the last 5 weeks, and even at half time here, because I couldn't tell you on camera what I said to the blokes. There was some stern words said there, but they've regrouped, they've took it on the chin, and then they've dished up the last 35 minutes in particular that I thought was very good.
Worked it out, I think, was it more tries, as many tries in the second half as in the previous 5 games. 7 tries, and just, you know, it almost like the lid came off, wasn't it, a little bit?
Do you know, it's as if you've been listening to my conversation, Simon, this week, because I've talked about the lid being off. You know, I've talked about us being in a glass jar where everybody looks in and points fingers, and you know, there's these people in this glass jar. Well, let's take the lid off and let's jump out of the jar, and then let's go attack these people that are laughing.
Just a final one from me, Matt. Obviously recruitment and retention's ongoing. You know, I speak to a number of rugby league agents, and you know they're all sounding positive. You know, the meetings they've had with you, Brian Noble and Nigel Wood. Are you happy with how your plans are coming for next year?
I'm very, very hopeful that this coming week we should secure 3 players. If everything goes to plan, and you know, you're never sure. You can't put names on them because it's until it's signed, sealed, and in the basket. Then you know it's wrong to do so. But yeah, we're down the track on a number of people. You know, we're talking to a number of people from outside the club as well as internally. And yeah, hopefully there'll be at least 3 good news announcements being able to be announced by the club in the coming week.